What's up, guys? Welcome to the extended episode for Proverbs 16. Like all bonus episodes, this will cover all the verses that we weren't able to cover in the previous episode. So just make sure you watch the original before you listen to this one as well. In this episode, we'll go over the rest of the chapter of Proverbs 16 with a background of authority. That's going to be our main theme today. And so I want to start off and open us with a question. What is your relationship with authority like? Are you in a position of authority? Are you a manager at your workplace? Are you a parent? Do you oversee your peers? Are you in any form of leadership? Are you your own boss, your own entrepreneur? That's the first question. Are you in a position of authority? The second question is, how do you respond to authority? Do you answer to a boss or a manager? Do you respect your parents? Do you listen and follow the guidance or leadership of someone who's older or more experienced than you in a certain field? A good sections of Proverbs 16 speaks into authority and the character that all wise Christians should have, whether they're in positions of authority or not. So let's see what God has to say today. We'll start with the big chunk, verse 10 to 16. I want you to pay close attention to the words I emphasize. All right. An oracle is on the lips of a king. His mouth does not sin in judgment. A just balance and scales are the Lord's. All the weights in the bag are his work. It is an abomination to kings to do evil, for the throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are in the delight of the king, and he loves him who speaks what is right. A king's wrath is a messenger of danger, and a wise will appease it. In the light of a king's face, there is life, and his favor is like the clouds that bring the spring rain. How much better it is to get wisdom than gold, to get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. Obviously, these verses speak of a wise king. They imply that people should have respect for high officials. If you have been given authority as a parent, as a teacher, etc., it is something God gave you, and God holds you fully responsible for what you do with it. So you must now represent Him in your leadership. And if you are in that position and you feel inadequate for the authority that's been given to you, look in the New Testament. Jesus put a failed Peter into leadership, showing that it's not ability, but humility and dependence on Him that matter most. Authority and leadership doesn't have to be expressed through, these grand CEO positions, but could be exercised through one's long-lived experience in life. Verse 31, gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life. Our culture likes to idolize the beauty, energy, and creativity of youth. And to their credit, the youth have strength and ambition that the old simply just can't muster anymore. But the old have perspective and wisdom and dignity that younger people have yet to acquire. And so there are these distinct goods that each generation has, and they should be enjoyed in their time, respectively. This chapter also describes the wise character that all should have, whether they possess authority or respond to it. Verse 8, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues with injustice. Those in authority should have a righteous stewardship of their wealth and power. They shouldn't look down on the lowly, because those who have little with Jesus are infinitely greater than those who have much without him. Verse 19, it is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the spoil with the proud. God wants us to identify with the oppressed by being lowly in spirit. Those in power and leadership should walk in humility. Verse 32, whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. What does this mean? It says in that first part that whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty. And the mighty, in some translations, it says warrior. This describes a person who knew how to conquer and master a whole city. But this proverb says that even better is the patient, the self controlled person who knows how to conquer and master himself. Because it's harder to master yourself than to master others. The wise leader walks in humility and self control, and more specifically, control of the tongue, what they say. Verse 21, the wise of heart is called discerning, and sweetness of speech increases persuasiveness. Let's take a look at some of the key words in that verse. It says discerning, right? The wise of heart is called discerning. A wise leader knows how to make sound judgments. Another part of that verse is it increases persuasiveness. Persuasiveness is a skill that can be learned and improved. A wise leader speaks with conviction. Verse 23, the heart of the wise makes his speech judicious and adds persuasiveness to his lips. It says the heart of the wise makes his speech, meaning our words come from our heart. To ask about someone's words is to ask about their very heart. Luke 6:45 says, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. All of our heart problems become word problems. The wise speak from a heart that has been cleaned and renewed by God. And to bring back this other point, it says at the end of verse 23, adds persuasiveness to his lips. Jesus speaks up for us. He persuades and intercedes for us. Hebrews 7:25 says, consequently, he is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. Persuasiveness is modeled by Jesus, who intercedes on our behalf. Verse 24, gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. A honeycomb is sweet to the soul. These are words that are used to help others believe that they're loved as they are, not perfect as they are, and help them see who they can become in Jesus. This includes encouragement, correction, and confrontation at times. A wise leader knows how to speak gracious words to their followers, and wise followers know how to speak gracious words to their leader. Verse 26, a worker's appetite works for him, his mouth urges him on. It says it's the appetite, meaning hard work is inspired by simple hunger. If you don't work, you don't eat. It's a perfectly good reason for us to work, whether it's filling or not, simply to eat. And the bigger emphasis on this verse that I want to point out is it's the mouth that urges him on. Wise words know how to inspire hard work in oneself and in others. So, a question I want to ask is, do you have coworkers who speak words of encouragement to get you through the day? How do you inspire your peers to work harder? Our words are intertwined in daily life, and that could include daily work. As we continue, there's two levels of speech that can kill any work environment, any friend group, any relationship, leaders and followers alike. And it's these two things that we're going to go over right now. The first one is false speech, words that aren't true. Verse 27, a worthless man plots evil, and his speech is like a scorching fire. False reports, or even true but unkindly meant words, have always had this power to spread like a scorching fire. That's what this verse describes. To ruin reputations and alienate people from one another. Words that are meant to tear down will always hurt, which ties into the second level of false speech, the unwarranted spreading of that speech. Verse 28, a dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends. It spreads like a wildfire. The whisperer criticizes people behind their backs. Gossip can corrupt your character. and it separates friends. Gossip can destroy a relationship. Jesus spoke kindly of his friends, on the other hand, even when they let him down in the garden. Verses 29 to 30. A man of violence entices his neighbor and leads him in a way that is not good. Whoever winks his eye plans dishonest things. He who pursues his lips bring evil to pass. Be careful of the ways gossip can spread without you even noticing it. It sometimes comes out in a dialogue that says, I just really need to vent to you about this person. Be careful of the ways gossip can spread. Gossip is the opposite of how the Son speaks to the Father about you. John Piper, that's what he said. Verse 22. Good sense is a foundation of life to him who has it, but the instruction of fools is folly. Don't fall into gossip. The wise character that God calls all people to, leaders or not, is a fountain of life. Verse 20, whoever gives thought to the word will discover good, and blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. It says they're blessed, meaning flourishing. To be blessed, then, is to know the substantial healing as God's salvation repairs our hearts and our behavior, speech and all. There's a spiritual side of it where we reconcile with and grow closer to God. There's a psychological side where we understand ourselves and find our feelings and actions more under the Holy Spirit's control. There are relational implications as well. We discover another depth in friendship through common faith, and socially, we find ways to serve our neighbors. That is what the love of God does in our workplace, in our relationships, in our speech. Salvation is not merely forgiveness and admission to heaven, but it means life is healed slowly but surely in all of its dimensions. That is the gospel, changing us every day to grow as we navigate these environments. And so I pray that this helps you walk in humility and wise speech as we turn away from all the things that hinder us from experiencing God's blessed life for us, whether you are in a position of authority or not. So to come full circle, I want to come back to our opening verses 10 to 16 and insert God where the word king should be. And so I think it will put us in that right posture of that humility that I was talking about and that reverence as well. So verse 10 to 16, reimagined. An oracle is on the lips of God. His mouth does not sin in judgment. A just balance and scales are the Lord's. All the weights in the bag are his to work. It is an abomination to God to do evil, for the throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of God, and he loves him who speaks what is right. God's wrath is a messenger of death, and a wise man will appease it. In the light of God's face, there is life, and his favor is like the clouds that bring the spring rain. How much better is to get wisdom than gold? To get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. May you let God be your ultimate authority today. And I pray that you let humility drive you into wiser speech, deeper relationship to God, more fruitful communion with others in your workplace, in your family life, and you become wise. That's our bonus episode today. I will see you tomorrow.